One of the things that I hear a lot is that social media is not measurable. Fair or not, I mean, obviously it's hard to tell how many Facebook likes equals to a certain number of Quiznos subs, but it's always interesting to hear people talk about what really matters. It started a couple years ago when we first started talking about social media, and it's true with every technology. We want to know about case studies. What's funny is the number of people, because there's so many in social media now, doing many different things because all of our backgrounds are different. It's the number of people who assume case studies are this magic panacea that would solve all your problems. You can be an expert as long as you have case studies. If you can show your results, then you get to talk for the rest of us, but until then you're a snake oil salesman. And it's a really, it's funny because people who say that don't do case studies. They don't have case studies. They don't actually know what a case study is meant to do or its importance when trying to sell a client. See, a case study is not science. It doesn't use a scientific method. It's a marketing tool. See, a case study is what happens when you take events, you measure results of something you're doing, you come up with some parameters, you track it, you put it into a way that makes you look good, and you use that to sell your services to a client. Now, it doesn't mean that what worked for the last client works for the next one. It does not mean that you were an expert or that you had anything to do with the success of that client. In fact, there are many times when you do a great job for a client, but they don't want to give you credit for it. Every marketer knows this. They'll say, well, it's because I have the greatest sales staff in the world, or it's because we started a new training program, or the market's really picked up, everybody's doing well. You didn't do bad, I'm glad we paid you your money, but come on, guys, it's like you've never been in marketing before. Case studies don't mean anything. They are a prop, they are propaganda. Where they become useful is in the selling process, because what we're all trying to do is manage risk. We don't have to think about this if we're working with large companies, but a small business owner doesn't want to drop $50,000 into a direct marketing campaign unless they are pretty sure they're going to get a return, because that $50,000 may be needed to buy more product. They could go out of business. So when they decide to buy into a marketing program, they have to decide, well, how much risk. And so they go with something they know, which is why people buy newspaper ads. They buy from the same people they bought before. They're comfortable with it. They know what the results are. And while it's true that putting your name in the newspaper may not actually generate new sales, the company continues to function. And so in their heads, they're afraid to mix, to make a mistake, to change what you're doing. So you do what you've done before because you're afraid of too many changes, and you tweak variables here and there. When you're selling a new marketing program, whether it was websites when we first started doing all this, or Yellow Pages online, or local reach, or location-based marketing, anything, little pins that have our names on them. Hey, I got my name on the pin, I should spend $140. No matter what you're doing, the goal is to do little things that impact your company. When you take a big risk, you can lose everything. When we're selling internally to large corporations, we don't think it's the same dynamic because the manager, the person signing the check and signing off, is often putting their career on the line. Maybe not their whole career. Maybe they're not going to get fired if something goes wrong, thank goodness, because we'd all be fired all the time. But the truth is that as you go in and you do marketing programs, success means they grow in their career, or they get raises, or they continue to be hired. Doing poorly means maybe they don't get that promotion. Maybe their entire career track is thrown off. So it's very important to them. And so internally, and small business owners, no matter who owns it, they're trying to manage risk. They're trying to say, give me a case study to show that you've worked in my industry, with a company my size, what you did exactly, and what happened. Here's the problem. No company is the same. The company that you are able to go out and do a television commercial for, and you see their new product shoots 22% up, and they have their best year ever, was it the television or was it the product? If you don't know that, and none of us knows for sure, when the guy goes to the next client and gives them the case study, here's my shiny case study, shows all the great money I made for the last client, we're going to do exactly the same for you. I'm going to charge a little bit more because we're better at it. But I do the television commercial and what? Falls flat. Why? If I have a case study that shows if you just do what I, the marketing consultant, tells you, Isn't this guaranteed that you'll make the exact same results? It doesn't. Well, then what's the point of a case study? But that's the point. I mean, social media marketing, show me your case studies. Show me how it works so that I can replicate it exactly. Doesn't work. Oh, you don't have case studies? Oh, it's a fraud. But if I give you case studies of something that's proven to work for somebody else and those don't work, does that mean that all marketing is a fraud? Or does that mean that case studies are a tool that we use? Because what happens is you can take the case study, you can break it out, you can show this is what we did in this situation. And it worked because this is what the company did right. So if you have something similar with your company, we can make it work for you too. That's the whole point of the case study, is to look into the details and say, we're very similar. Okay, this person knows what they're doing. They've got the ability to correct the course. This is the heading. The case study is the heading, and if there's minor problems, we move it, we can fix it from there. It's not the case study, it's the person selling it. In fact, without the relationship, you'd never get the case study, because no one wants to tell their competitors what they're doing. But why this fetish about case studies? I think it's because most people don't do them. I can say that because I've been a copywriter. I've written lots of case studies. Companies don't know half the time, and some very large, huge companies, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, can't come up with a couple of good case studies. How is that even possible? How can you get to that size without coming up with case studies? Because people are busy and they're focused on the next thing, because they don't really know what happened, because they just did what they did and it worked mostly, and maybe it was the market and maybe it was something else. And yeah, you can call them frauds if you want, but that's not the point. See, the point is a case study is a marketing tool. So if I hear someone say, oh, you got to have case studies to prove it happens, what I really know is that they don't have a clue what case studies are really meant to do. And that usually means that they're probably not the person that I'd hire for social media. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.